So, what if I told you there's a plan to deal with the US national debt? A plan you'll probably never hear about on the evening news, but one that is quietly, and I mean quietly, affecting the money in your bank account every single day. We're about to dive into a source that argues this isn't some crazy conspiracy theory. It's already happening. Let's just start with this number, $38 trillion. It's a figure so astronomically huge that honestly, our brains can't really even process it. For years, we've been told, don't worry about it, that number doesn't really matter. But the source we're looking at today says that's just not true anymore. This number has woken up and, well, it's hungry. Think about that for a second. A stack of single-dollar bills that goes past the moon. The source uses this incredible visual to make a really critical point. This isn't just a number on a spreadsheet anymore. No, this has become a physical, structural problem that's baked right into the foundation of the entire economy. So why is this suddenly a crisis now? I mean, we've had debt for a long time, right? Well, according to the source, we've crossed a brand new, very dangerous line. A threshold where the debt is no longer just some passive scorecard. Instead, it's become an active predator, and it's consuming the US budget from the inside out. And here it is. This is the tipping point. For the first time ever, the US is spending more money just on the interest for its past borrowing than it spends on its entire national defense budget, more than it spends on Medicaid. According to the source, this is the red line. This is the moment the debt problem went from a theoretical headache to a mathematical certainty. And this leads to this terrifying feedback loop that the source calls the debt spiral. The analogy is really simple. It's like using a brand new credit card just to pay the minimum balance on an old one. The total you owe gets bigger, which means your interest payments get bigger, which means you have to borrow even more next year just to keep up. It's a mathematical trap with no easy way out. Okay, so how does a country escape a trap like that? You know, traditionally, you've got two main options. But according to the source we're examining, for a country like the United States, both of these roads are basically dead ends. All right, option one is austerity. This means huge tax hikes, brutal cuts to government spending. We're talking things that would be complete political suicide and would almost certainly trigger a massive depression. Option two, just default. Literally just refuse to pay. But that's the nuclear option. Since the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, doing that would pretty much crash the entire global financial system instantly. So yeah, both of those are off the table. So if you can't cut spending and you can't default, what's left? Well, that leaves only one door open. And the source argues it's the exact same path that empires have taken throughout all of history when they've been backed into a corner with impossible debts. It's the unofficial, unspoken, but very real policy, a soft default. So here's the crucial point, the real trick. You don't refuse to pay your debts. Oh no, you pay back every single dollar you owe right on time. The catch is, you do it by creating a whole lot more dollars, making sure that the money you pay back buys way less than the money you originally borrowed. You're basically paying off the debt by devaluing the currency itself. And as you can see here, this isn't some radical new idea. The source points out that this has been the go-to playbook for centuries. From Roman emperors literally clipping the edges off coins to make more of them, all the way to the US itself inflating away its massive WWI debt. It's a well-worn path. The entire strategy, the whole shebang, it all hinges on this one simple rule. If inflation is running hot at, say, 5%, but the interest you're paying on your debt is only 3%, then you are effectively erasing 2% of your debt's real value every single year. You're literally paying it off through the slow, steady loss of everyone else's purchasing power. Okay, so if the goal is to inflate away the debt, how do you actually pull it off in the 21st century? I mean, you can't just clip coins anymore. Well, the source lays out three specific, really sophisticated tools that it calls the mechanics of financial repression. These three tools, they all work together to make the whole system possible. So first, you have to create a forced market for your debt. Second, you need to control how inflation is officially measured. And third, you make sure the central bank's #1 job is to finance all that government spending. So first up, you rig the market. The source claims that through all kinds of banking regulations, big institutions like pension funds and banks are legally required to hold US government bonds as safe assets. This creates what's called a captive audience, a guaranteed buyer that keeps interest rates artificially low, no matter how much money the government borrows. Second, you get to control the official measurement of inflation. Now, the source really highlights the logic behind the official consumer price index, or CPI, with this quote, and it is a real eye-opener. The idea behind it is something called substitution bias. So the CPI gets adjusted in a couple of key ways. Substitution basically assumes that if steak gets too expensive, you'll just buy hamburger instead, so your cost of living didn't really go up. Then there's hedonic adjustments, which claims that if a new iPhone costs more but it's better than the old one, then the price didn't really increase. The source argues these tweaks systematically make the official inflation number look way lower than what people are actually experiencing. And the final piece, fiscal dominance. This is basically the idea that the central bank, the Federal Reserve, has lost its independence. The national debt is now so massive that the Fed literally cannot raise interest rates high enough to actually stop inflation, because if it did, the interest payments would bankrupt the government. So its main job is no longer stable prices, it's keeping the government afloat, whatever it takes. Okay, so we've seen the plan, we've seen the tools of financial repression, but what does all of this actually do in the real world? I mean, if the debt is being paid by devaluing the currency, somebody has to be paying that price, right? And you bet they are. This policy isn't neutral, it's a massive transfer of wealth, and it creates some very clear winners and losers. To understand how this works, the source points to this concept from way back in the 18th century. It basically observes that when new money is created, it doesn't just spread out evenly. It enters the economy at the top, through big banks, financial institutions. They get to spend it first, before it trickles down and causes prices to rise for everybody else. And this right here perfectly illustrates the result. It's called a K-shaped divergence. The people who own assets, things like stocks, real estate, they see their net worth absolutely explode as all that new money pushes up prices. But the people who earn wages, who get that money later, they find their paychecks just can't keep up with the rising cost of everything. Their purchasing power actually goes down. The conclusion from the source material is, well, it's pretty stark. It's that this whole process fundamentally breaks the traditional path to building wealth. The simple idea of working hard, doing a good job, and putting money away in a savings account, it just doesn't work in this new environment. And why is that? Well, think about it. If the inflation rate is consistently higher than the interest rate you earn in a savings account, then saving your money actually guarantees that you will lose buying power over time. The source calls this an era of forced speculation. It means that even the most conservative savers now have to take on market risk just to try and tread water, because the traditionally safe option now guarantees a loss. So, if you've created a system where saving is punished and speculation is basically forced, how do you lock it all in? If the strategy needs total control over the financial system, what's the ultimate tool to make sure that there are no escape routes left? The source concludes by pointing towards something called a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. You see, right now, physical cash gives you an escape hatch. If a bank starts charging you to hold your own money, you can just pull it out. But a purely digital dollar would eliminate that exit. It could potentially give a central authority total control, the ability to set negative interest rates, or even create money that expires if you don't spend it fast enough. It's presented as the final piece of the puzzle for total financial repression. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question. What happens when there's no escape hatch left?